G'day, Mighty Destroyers. AOS Coach here on his new microphone. Thanks to the patrons and YouTube members, I upgraded to what I'm told is like the cream of the crop. It's the Shaw SMB. It's like what I'm told Michael Jackson recorded his albums on. Like Joe Rogan has it. So now AOS Coach is at that level where Spotify is going to be giving me the millions of dollars for this back catalog. But brand new microphone. Even better, a brand new guest. I am so excited to talk about Ironjawz with my man. It's not Caleb Walter, it's the other brother, which I didn't realize Scooter and Nick Walters were the same person. I heard this Scooter all the time, Martin Orlando. I hear about you all the time, but I never connected the dots. And I was watching, I'll let you introduce yourself in a second, but I want to tell a story. This is story time with Coach. I'm watching the Nova stream. So first off, Nick did really well at Nova, both at the Invitational as well as the GT. And I'm watching the final. I wake up because, you know, you guys are jerks and the time frame is bad for me. I'm sleeping during round 1 and round 2. And I'm watching this final of the live stream. And I'm watching this guy absolutely hilarious. He's joking. He's having an absolute ball at the top table. He's just an absolute comedian. And I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. And it's him. It's Scooter. So welcome to the channel. You not only kick serious ass at the Invitational, which was like some of the best of the best.
That was Caleb. Caleb was that one. I wasn't
invited. Oh, sorry. Oh no, you were watching. I was watching you. No, I was watching you in the background.
Yeah,
you were in the background, and that's right. I was laughing my ass off. That's why. See, even though Caleb was playing, you're the one who's in my memory.
Caleb sucks.
But you did do incredibly well. So you went 5-0. Which got you into the knockout final. And yeah. So anyway, welcome, Scooter. Welcome to Ironjawz. G'day. Hello.
How's it going? Yeah. Fun. Ironjawz is definitely the army for me. It's my bread and butter. It's all I've played at AOS, and now everyone's forced me to play other armies. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Nova was definitely a blast. 5-0. I finished first and 5-0, by the way. I was number 1. Caleb, not number 1. This guy, number 1.
And what's absolutely hilarious is in a couple of weeks' time, I'll have Caleb coming on talking about the disciples of Tzeentch. So Tzeentch. I keep getting told that Tzeentch is the wrong way to say a fantasy word. But yes, the uninvited, because you're so good, is probably the best way to do it. But how was Nova? First off, talk to me about the Nova tournament. I've never been to Nova. I hear good things about it. It's a charity event as well as a tournament.
Yeah, Nova does lots of charity work in the area. The way they construct their food, the way they construct almost everything is based around the charity to make sure they can give back as much as possible. It's grown monumental. I was at the first, I don't even think they called it a Nova tournament. It was a 40K tournament in the woods. It was my first time playing 40K. I was like, I'll go. My buddy Brian went. I'm like, sure, what's 40K? And I just turned things into spawns. I ended up going like, it was 3-0, and then I had to play against Tony Kopech, and it didn't go very well, but that's all right. I mean, and then from there, just every tournament they had, we showed up and played. The only one we didn't play in was when AOS first came and Fantasy went away. I was like, I'm not going to play game system without points, but we've been to every single one since then. I've ran the Fantasy tournament for them. I participated in it. I've been a volunteer. Whenever you're down there, it's truly like a family atmosphere. All the volunteers are family members. They see you, Scooter, can you jump in? Can you help? Check for COVID bans. I'm like, I got you. It's whatever you need just to help anyone out. This year was the first time Fantasy was in a completely different venue. So we had our own hotel, our own everything, away from the muggles in 40K. So we didn't have to play with them. We got to be left alone. It was beautiful. The tables were spread out. The terrain was on point. No one table, in my opinion, had an advantage over another table. I've been to tournaments where you're like, oh, I really hope I don't play on that table. This one, every table was uniformed. It was neat. The staff who ran both the team tournament and the GT, incredible. I'm really happy with the direction Nova's going. It's really looking really good. So
yeah, it's good that we got rid of that Chuck Moore who was running that really sketchy tournament, and we got to the top. Was it James O'Brien is running Nova?
Yeah, James is. Yeah, Chuck. We were playing a team tournament. Me and my little brother, and I don't know. I don't play a lot. I only really play in tournaments. We don't play for fun with each other. my friends don't really play with each other. We don't play in Tabletop Simulator. We all have lives, so it's like I don't have time to play. So I made a list, and we're playing a team tournament. We're at the last table, the final tabletop table. Me and Caleb are tabling everyone. Max points. We beat our last opponents. Max points. And then Chuck walks up to me, and he goes, hey, do you have an artifact on your character? I was like, yeah. I was like, it can't be rented or something. He was like, you can't have that. I go, oh, okay. Well, I mean, he never fought. I killed everything with my pigs before I got there, but all right. He goes, we have to disqualify you. I go, okay, that's fine. It's like Caleb's like laughing. I was like, who cares, bro? I'm just here playing toy soldiers. My bad. Like, and my opponents were like, he really never used it. And I was like, it's okay, guys. I don't care. It's like, Caleb was like, you cost me the tournament. I was like, you're the one who made the list, bro. I don't know the rules. Get out of here. What do you want me to do?
And that's probably one thing I noticed. I heard you say that actually on the stream. So I think shout out to, was it Seasons of War were doing the live streaming. So shout out to those. It's such a insult that 40K gets like GW streams, but you know, very rarely does AOS have streams, and we're the better game. So Season of War had put on that invitational, which was really cool. Then they were live streaming. So shout out to everyone who contributed to that as well. Before we get into the Ironjawz chat, I've got to call out, Lance has asked for a wah. Can we get a wah?
So I don't wah at all. I literally never have. When I hear people wah, I turn and go, huh. I look at my phone and go, I'm going to wah this turn. And he goes, okay. I was like, all right. But then everything else I do is loud and boisterous and obscene. I'm like the only orc player I know that doesn't like get into the wall thing. I mean, I give you a whoa! But like I don't do it in the game. So it's like just not a thing. I don't know. It's just always been a weird thing to actually wog at the table. Plus, you're playing 3, 4, 5 games in a tournament. Oh, your voice is gonna be gone by then.
Yeah, you do. You lose it quickly. I'm a Gits player, so we don't do wahs. We eat little mushrooms. But that was an awesome wah. And I think you put your dogs in the place. Scooter in the background has had 2 dogs playing around. I love them to death. My dog's playing well at the moment. He might start snoring. But you've shown that you're the pack leader. But people didn't join the stream to get the dogs, although they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Let's talk Ironjawz. Let's talk Ironjawz. They are an awesome faction. I really enjoy the Orc book. And I've been recently doing a bunch of videos, funnily enough, around the other parts. Bone Splitters has been getting a lot of success lately with like the double tapping or the triple moving of units in the pregame. Big War seems to be becoming quite popular. People are kind of getting more and more. And it seems like people have forgotten about the Ironjawz. The humble, run-forward Ironjawz. So talk to me about the faction. Why'd you bring it? What was the idea with Nova? Talk to me about Ironjawz and why we should go with the Ironjawz compared to the other parts of the book.
All right. So long story, condensed a lot. My little brother really, really, really likes the fantasy, right? And that's what we played way back. I could talk about all that stories for days. So come on, Scooter, play AOS with me. I'm like, Caleb, I'm playing poker. I'm doing other stuff. Like, I don't know, get back into painting all these models. Like, I don't know. Finally, I'm like, the truth is I love my little brother a lot. He's a good guy. He doesn't have a lot of time. So I'm like, okay, I'll play AOS if you tell me what army charges turn 1 so I can get my game over quick. And he's like racking his brain. He's like, I heard about this one Piggy army where they just go forward really quick. I go, all right, buy me that and I'll do it. So we're buying all these models. We're putting them together. It took me like 3 years to finally paint them all. It's the simplicity, I think, because now that I'm playing a lot, right? You look at all these armors, like Caleb's Zeech army, so technical, so many rules, so many extra things. And then you look at the Piggies. I have 7 options, 7 troops to choose from with all my heroes and all my stuff. Yeah, I have allies, but no. So I have 7 choices. Well, how do we do this? Well, I look at the wizards and I'm like, okay, they're not +1 to cast, they're not +1 to dispel, they're nothing special. The spells aren't that good. I'm like, all right, I'm not doing any magic. That's pointless. And you look at like, you know, the maneuverability of the R-boys and all the other foot sloggers. They're so slow. It's like, well, how do you get from point A to point B? These guys are 9 inches. Any one of them could be 18 inches at a moment's break. Your Maw Crusher, that's flying forward a minimum of 30 inches if you got fastened, 20 inches if you don't, if you have the armor, or 24. It's flying. So I'm like, yeah, it's what I'm going to do. So the list has evolved a lot. in the beginning, I played like a real orc. It's like, all right, pigs, the Maul Crusher, some War Chainers, go, right? And it's awesome. It's a ton of fun, but I wasn't worried about winning. My brother's going, I'm going to go. Well, as we're playing, we get competitive. I'm like, well, how can I make it better? Then I found that little mushroom ally. Wait. 4 up, I get me a command dice? He's an auto include. So when I play against Ironjawz players, I don't have him. In my head, I'm like, why don't you have him? Okay, I'll keep doing it. Now I found the dude on foot. And I'm like, wait, this guy fights on death? All right, hold on. Do drops matter? Well, because my army's so maneuverable, and now that I know how to play, I'll have 50 drops. Make me go first. I don't care. I'll touch the objectives and your turn. I don't really care. Like, sure. So it's all evolved. I'm decent at defense. We're all 4-up saves. I'm super fast, super maneuverable. I have War Chainers to increase my damage if I have to. I have 2 amazingly good characters in combat, one with Destroyer and one with the armor. The Destroyer is good, right? The whole point we were playing it because we were afraid of the Gargants. Oh, you got to fight Gargants. I'm like, okay. Well, I just sat there and did simple math. And I'm like, oh, my unit of 6 pigs can kill a Gargant in 1 turn on the walk turn with +1 damage. Why am I taking Destroyer? And that's when everything started getting adjusted. And that's where I'm pretty set on my list of what I think is the optimal, I guess, like Ironjawz list in the meta right now. Having that dude on foot, yeah, you can be sniped up by magic and shooting, but then you're not shooting my 6-man pigs. So I have 3 extremely fast threats. I have 4 actual threats in my army. And the 2 units of 3 pigs, well, that's what I use during the entire tournament to take care of people's incarnates or their little thing they've hidden. A unit of 3 pigs walks up, I'll level your incarnate in 1 turn. Now you're level 1. It happened every turn. Every turn someone had an incarnate. I'm like, all right, these things are easy. So I don't know. The list is great. I've played around with Double Maul Crusher. I think you lose too many bodies. I played around with the teleport these guys over and charge them in. Well, if you fail that charge, what did you just do? It's like, nah. I'm going to take the guaranteed. Like, a lot of it is slowing down on what I do now and like thinking about what my opponent's going to do next. You got to think about who's going to go back to back, if they can go back to back and all that stuff. And you're just making onions with pigs. It's like, yeah, charge my front unit 6. I have 6 more. I have this guy and I have my Maul Crusher. What are you going to do? It's fun. I thoroughly enjoy the list we're running. The debate for me is, do I do 3 to 6 charge or I do +1 to hit on my War Chainer? And that bounces back and forth. The list I submitted to Nova isn't the list. It's the list I played, but I didn't play Super Mini or a Mega. The one where you issue the command twice. It had on a D3 take D3 mortal wounds, but every person I played with knew that's what I had. The TO knew that's what I had. It's just I submitted the wrong thing. I was like, oh well. So
and you still did incredibly well.
Oh, it was great. It was fun.
Well, a lot to unpack there. First off, your dogs are going crazy.
They fight all day. It's whatever.
Would it be a destruction chat if there wasn't fighting
in the background?
Oh no. My gosh.
No.
So first off, I think there's a lot of simplicity, and what attracts me to Ironjawz. I don't play Ironjawz because I've got Gits and I've also got Sons. If Sons never existed, I think I would definitely do Ironjawz. But there's a simplicity to running an army that doesn't have a lot of technical elements, right? Because when I play Gits, I play a very magic-heavy, wizard-focused army, right? A lot of shamans, a lot of like tricks and things like that. And by the 3rd game at a tournament, you're brain drained. You feel that with Lumineth, you feel that with Tzeentch or Tzeentch, you feel that with certain types of armies. But when you play with like Ironjawz or Sons, it's very liberating. You put it down, don't have to worry about deep striking, don't worry about reserves or summoning or heavy magic or heavy this, heavy that. It's just, I do something and I do something really well.
Yep.
Is that dog mauling someone in the background? No, just the other dog.
They
just
literally wrestle each other all day. Hey, Zeus, I'm talking to the world. Can you calm down? Thank you.
Yeah, you know the loudmouth is the other one.
But when it comes to the Ironjawz, like you're right, like it is liberating. Some people would look at the book like, look, it's pretty restrictive. I've only got less than 10 units to choose from. That doesn't give me a lot of flexibility. But as someone who's currently playing Stormcast at the moment, I've got 80 choices.
Bro.
I've got
And you can
so many choices. And that's not even talking about like my allies. Like
yeah,
I've got
dude,
80
it's so
choices.
much. It's too. It's honestly, and it's in my opinion, it's way too much. I don't understand why Games Workshop does some of the stuff they do. Like, why does Lumineth have so many options? Why I don't understand why the space I call them space marines. Why Stormcats have so many options? It doesn't make any sense. In some, it's just little things like, oh, I'm only +4 to hit, or I'll hit on a 4-up, not a 3-up, so I'm 10 points cheaper. I'm like, what is this? Like, it's too many choices. I think a lot gets like lost when you play them. Because there's always going to be those 4 units that are the best. So it's like you're not accomplishing anything by giving someone 60 options. Like, it is a lot.
It is a lot, but for you, it's very interesting because, like, well, I can build a list that I want to build. I lean into the restrictions and I don't go through analysis paralysis, right? Because when I'm tweaking my Stormcast list at the moment, I go, right, well, I need some mortal wounds at the moment. So one of the transitions I've had recently is like, because of the emergence of Nighthaunt, I've gone, shit, I need some mortal wounds. I don't have enough mortal wounds and I can't break up the castle with like the Cruciator and the Hex Raids and the Spirit Host. I have got no tools. So I need mortal wounds. So that leads me into annihilators. But then to get the most out of annihilators, I need to get a Lord Imperator. If I take a Lord Imperator, then it's like all of a sudden I just go down this trap and I'm constantly kind of changing my list. But with 100%. You, it's like, cool. I do something really well, and I adapt to the play style, and I can get bodies through like my Ard Boys and my Brutes. I can get some speed through my Piggies and my Maw Crusher. I do have some magic. I have got a good ally pool, but what I do probably the best in the business.
I honestly think it's the best combat army in the game. I personally think that. There's other units that are better, sure. Like this unit is better than that, but it's like, okay, but as a whole, my army, I think combat-wise, really sticks you in good. And being Bloodtooth, it's so maneuverable even after you fight is the thing that I really like. It's like, oh no, we're not done yet. Like, so you talk about tricks. The funny thing about me in the game, I lose a lot of my games because I tell people how to beat me. And I go, yeah, so this guy right here is my trick. Just so you know, I don't even know the tricks, but he'll fight on death with Destroyer. And they're just like, okay. I was like, so if you kill him with shooting or magic, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. I'm like, all right, let's play. It's like, because I don't know. I hate the gotcha game. Like the thing that makes 40K bad, one is this. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Smile. You're playing toy soldiers. And then they all do the gotcha stuff. Like, they won't tell you what they're going to do. And it's like, oh, come on. Like, really? We're okay. Like, I don't know. I like to have fun. And I feel in AOS, a lot more people are more willing to tell you, hey, this is what my army does. This is what I'm going to try to do. And it's like, cool. Like, I'm going to try to stop you from doing that and do what I need to do. Yeah, I just like the community way more. And with Ironjawz, it's very straightforward. Like you said, I'm going to come down and smash you. But what I've learned is I don't have to send the whole army down to smash you. Maybe 2 things. It's getting good, though.
One thing I do want to ask you about, because I know as a Suns player, I have the same problem. And
sorry.
One thing, there was a turkey comment. If anyone listening to the podcast, that completely random, we got a turkey chat. This is hilarious. This is exactly what I expected. This is going to be completely random, Coach, and I'm going to try to keep like bringing you back. One thing that I know from being a Suns player, and Ironjawz has the same problem, is when do I pull the trigger? Do I go fast in turn 1? Do I hold back till turn 2, turn 3? Do I share some of my army and not all of it? Or do I overwhelm you in one go? And I know as a very heavily melee-focused army, being Suns and being Gargants, being Ironjawz and being Suns, that takes time and experience, but it's also like, just because I can turn 1 charge you, does it mean that I should? Where do you stand when it comes to pulling the trigger? Do you go all in? Do you wait for certain times and go for like that turn 1 to turn 2, hopefully a double turn? What's your thinking? Obviously, army battle plan dependent.
So in Nova, right? So you can tell I'm kind of silly and goofy and I do all my stuff. I told my little brother I would try. I'm going to try to play Cab. I'm going to slow down, be smart, think about my moves. Like, I'm not going to just do stupid stuff. And he goes, all right. It really is about the mission and about the army I'm playing against. So, for instance, right, like a lot of people are like, oh, do this or do this when you're playing against Caleb. And I'm like, well, there's one objective. I can't hold it. He's going to make me go. It's going to be proving grounds. I can't do anything about it. If I wait, the problem is Caleb's army is 2,750 points.
Caleb, by the way, the brother who you played at the top table at the end of the Nova GT, is Zench or Zinch.
Yes.
So
he's just summoning nonstop blue hordes over and over and over. Here they are. And if you don't get into them and deal with that stuff, you're just going to be overran. Noah's another one who I played round 7.
Beast
awesome
of Chaos.
Player. Amazing. Yes, amazing. He's another one. If I sit back and do nothing, eventually he's going to have 5 cockatrices on the board, a bunch of gores everywhere, and then you can't do anything. So it depends on the army you're playing against, in my opinion. So against them, you have to go. You got to be relentless. You got to hope for the lucky turns. You got to hope for the good pile-ins. You got to hope for that stuff, right? Now, if you're playing against a Gargant player or Witch Elves or even Lumineth, like you can kind of stay back, let the game develop, figure out where you can go. Maybe you send 1 unit 3 in to kill all the screens. You can pick and choose. It's all about the types of armies you play. If someone leaves reserves off the board, I'm charging your army with my entire army as soon as possible. If you're going to give me 1,500 versus 2,000, I'm going to charge you with my 2,000 and bring you down to 750, 800 points and go, okay, bring your stuff down now. Because it's all about like those threats. Like the other one is the goading people. I try to goad people a lot. Like I'll give you a nice unit 6 or my little guy. I'm like, yeah, come on, you take the first turn. Come on in and kill them. Because if they're going to put forward a majority of their army, I'm going to now surround you. So it's all, in my opinion, the types of army you're playing and the mission. In this game, there's 2 or 3 missions that Ironjawz, and like you said, Sons are not good at. Like that's the primary objective. You can't get it. Your turn. And you're like, well, I'm scoring 0 points except for, a battle tactic. So it's all about, in my opinion, the mission and who you're playing against. Like what army, not the person. Because everyone can be good. They played against a lot of good players, so anyone can figure it out.
Yeah, and one thing that really works in your favor is you've got high movement and things like the Mighty Destroyers. And we'll get to the rules and we'll get to Scooter's list as we go through the video. But one of the things that you've got is you've got the ability. Yes, you're often elite with your model count, but you have the movement and the durability. So you can put 2 piggies on either flanks of the board, and with the speed, 1 tag objectives, and then kind of pincer in, pull down a flank. And most armies don't have the speed to kind of like, okay, if you bring the battle over here, it takes me 1 or 2 or even 3 turns to get there. And then you got the speed to get out and kind of like pull somebody apart, which is one of the strengths. Or if you need to collapse, let's say, a castle, you have so much offense that you just don't send 1 unit of piggies in. You can send a whole bunch of force. And that's been a lot of my success with Sons. I never run 1 Gargant into a unit. I always kind of run them as tag teams. And you just, with overwhelming force, collapse them and you make them change their strategy because like they don't have the tools to pull down 35 wounds, let alone 70. Same as you've got a lot of wound density and a lot of toughness.
Yeah. What was that? What's that phrase they say? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Everyone got a plan until 6 pigs walk up and go, hey, you don't have the middle of the board anymore. It's like, your turn.
Speaking of Nova, what were you as a Ironjawz player not worried about, but like when you were building your list, what were you trying to build what were you expecting in the meta? Like, are you seeing Nighthaunt, Daughters? Like, what are you seeing and what are you expecting to play?
Nighthaunt and Daughters are 2 of my better matchups because we were talking about overwhelming force. I have so many attacks that you can kind of chew through Nighthaunt. It's like, okay, make me -1 damage, take 36 saves. So you can kind of pick them up. For me, I can pick them up pretty well. I'm sure there's a list out there that counters my list, and that's fine. Like, I'll figure that out when I see it. The summoning, Nurgle being able to summon more stuff, stop me from piling in. That's a terrifying thing for me to deal with. Obviously, not to help him, but Caleb and being able to summon so much extra stuff in front of me and be able to control the board. Stuff that can control the board better than I can is what hurts. I would say Purple Sun, but it's a really, really good spell that if you roll a 1, congratulations. Like, I never worry about it. I just go. Shooting armies, I don't ever worry about because I'm going to end up charging, get into your meat and killing you. I never worry about corn. It's really probably Nurgle and things that can control the board well. Stuff that makes me stop from charging or piling in is what really hurts my army the most. Because if I can't pile in, I can't get to positions. I can't get into you. So probably that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you like being? I probably know already the answer, but you obviously like to charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that probably would charge you would be Sons and even Ogre Moor tribes, right? If we go Beast Claw Raiders, they got a new book coming, so we might see more Stonehorns and Thunder Tusks.
Yep.
That's a little bit of a hard counter because you're both charging, and like say Sons does mortal wounds on the charge, so does Beast Claw Raiders.
We didn't see a lot of in for some reason in the meta here. We have a couple people who play them. They're really good, but with the units of 3 pigs, I can screen off my meat really well. Kragnos is awesome. He's a very good model, and sometimes you whiff when you go to hit him, but I've never had a problem killing him. You do the whole bait thing that people do where like you pick, I'm going to desecrate your land. So they don't think, let me, best day ever, my Kragnos, and I charge into you, yell at you, and kill you. I'm like, all right, you have no Kragnos. Come over here with your incarnate now. I'll deal with him in a second. So it's like taking pieces out of someone's stuff. Beast Claw Raiders have charged me and done some damage to my stuff. Rerollable armor save is pretty disgusting to deal with. And that's why like Sons, best day ever rerollable armor save. And I'm like, oh, like if I'm not on the WOG turn, having a 5-up rerollable, I just think of the old, horrors, the old demon days where you just had that rerollable ward. It was so hard to deal with that stuff. So
well, there's a new book coming, so
I can't wait. It's in my realm, destruction, baby. That's what I'm doing.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
Come on.
Couple of things you called out. First off, Purple Sun got changed the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
As an Ironjawz player, is it better? Is it worse? Are you more concerned about it? Less concerned about it?
I mean, less concerned because I can't kill my Maw Crusher in one turn. But I mean, other than that, I love the people. Everyone's in chat groups, right? I love the ones who are like, "Oh, it's terrible now, not takeable." I was like, "Yeah, I went up 20 points. It's amazing. It blocks off so much of the board, just physically blocks off so much of the board. -1 to your armor save. Like, if you thought Purple Sun was the best because someone will randomly roll a 1 on your big guy, you really have some stuff you got to work on, like emotionally. If you're that afraid of a 1, has it rolled a 1 on my Maw Crusher? Yes. Has it done it more than once? No. But it happens. So everyone's all worried about this thing. I think it's incredible. -1 armor save for shooting armies, for Night Hunt, for anything that can cast a lot of endless spells that go, I'm going to jam up the middle of the board. You're not coming this way. I think people use the spells wrong too. Like they use them so aggressively to go out and get you. It's like, I'm just going to put it in front of you here and here. You can hit me with 1 guy if you want. Come on in. Yeah. I'd use them defensively and just smile. And I love the ones who are saying it's fixed. It's fixed in terms of it can't kill a Maw Crusher in 1 turn. Sure. But it still can kill everything else in 1 turn. So
I mean, D6 plus 6 mortal wounds
so
is
good.
Potentially 12, like 7 to 12 mortal wounds. So like that'll take you at least a half if it happens. So I agree with you 100% with the -1. That was why when I took it with Daughters. I've taken it with Stormcast. I was going for the -1, and the slain on a 1 is just bonus. It's just cream on the top. Yeah. But it was never something that I was purely relying for.
I will say I do like that they lowered it to 1 inch because it allows the person playing against it to play against it. Before, like, it was almost like, I can't really play against this thing. It's going to touch me if it touches me. Now it's like, all right, I'm going to put some stuff in front, leave my guy just slightly behind. I can play against it. It's still going to be -1 to your armor save, and that's, I think, what the core of it is. Just to smile.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to play around. The other thing I wanted to talk about is we're recording obviously in the middle of GBH 22 part 1. So with GVs and bounty hunters and all these things that are happening, how does Ironjawz stand out at the moment when it comes to, let's say, the GV meta? Are you bounty huntering? Are you going expert conquerors because you've got lack of bodies? Are you finding the bonds of battle for the extra rank of fighting more enticing for your brutes and your ard boys and things like that? Like, what does this GB mean to Ironjawz?
I'm definitely +1 damage the whole way. I'm bounty hunters the whole way. I have unit 6, 2 units of 6, and unit 3. They're just devastating. Now, I keep hearing people say things like, oh, well, this is a super tanky, expert conqueror unit that's hard to kill. I've yet to see that unit. Here's my 20 block of plague bears that have 3 wounds each. Okay, well, here's 46 attacks at 3 damage each. Pick them up. Like, I don't like, but that's my army. Now, in the meta, expert conquerors is awesome because not everything's doing 3 damage. Not everything's going to be Ren 3. So, like, I think it's very good. But for me, like we talked about the simplicity of my army, I don't have to worry about that stuff. Like, nothing expert conquerors. I can't think of a unit that they can put in front of me that I'm not just going to, all right, I'll charge it or get off my objective. Like, I just can't. All humbleness aside, it's Ren 3 is too much. And what is it? 3, 18, 22 attacks upstairs and another 24 attacks downstairs. I can hit on 2s and wound on 2s because my point values are so low. I'm gonna pick your unit up now. It's just good. It's good. And extra damage. Thank you, Games Workshop. Piggy's needed more.
Do you find that you need it though? Because and this is why I asked you the question, because I'm playing around with a list. So last tournament list I took had bounty hunters. I've actually dropped it completely to go expert conquerors. Obviously, I'm in Stormcast, so it's a little bit different. I'm playing around with the two. But one of the reasons I'm playing around with it is because it seems like at the midway point, people are trying to pull back their GVs as much as possible. Now, yes, some armies, you can't do that. But for a lot of people, they're looking for their battle line options that are not GVs. They're going for cavalry. They're going for, multi-wounds. They're looking, more than 4 wounds. They're looking for ways to get out of the GV because the benefits are not as great as the 2 or 3 battle tactics and the proving grounds. You can work around it.
You can. I will say, though, some of these objectives, it'd be really nice. I've toyed with the idea of taking out 1 unit of 3 pigs to put in just 1 brute unit or an Ardboys unit, just so I can touch that objective.
And that was going to be my question, was going to be, yes, I know your style is much more piggies, but do you think as an Ironjawz player holistically, it's worth considering brutes, Ardboys, your traditional troop bot options, either in bounty hunters or even is expert conquerors got some play?
I definitely think expert conquerors has some play. It's just a matter of like, do I drop 2 units of 3 to have 2 units of 6 pigs and then 2 units of 5 brutes, make them expert conquerors? I'm definitely messing around with it because I did notice there's several missions that get kind of dicey if I don't have a GV unit, where I'm just going to be down 2 points right away, and it's like just being down points. You lose a lot of leverage throughout the game. Now, can you claw back? Of course you can claw back, but why if you don't have to? I'm definitely toying with it. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's looking like more and more, maybe I'll try it out and see if I like it. I think I have to.
Yeah, no, it's just some thinking, right? And that's kind of why I'm testing it, because one of the things that I've done is I pulled one of my battle line options from, because Stormcast got so much GV, right? But I've gone, well, I'm going to add some Fulminators into my list, so they're not GVs. I'm not giving away some of the battles where I give away bonus GVs if they're on an objective and they die. And I'm like, well, I want to give away as much, but I still want to have some things for the proving grounds. And there's a couple of good battle tactics where, like, if a GV kills a GV, I've got some shooters to do that. So it's some utility, but I don't want to go all in on GVs, and I don't want to go all in without having GVs. So I just wanted to have your thoughts on, as an Ironjawz player, pros and cons, going all pigs versus having some flex.
Yeah. I will say, like, all pigs makes your playstyle a lot more simple to deal with and to figure out. But as I played, I watched one of your podcasts. I wish I remembered his name, but he was playing Big Walk, and it immediately made me go, I wonder what's in the Big Walk. Because last time I looked, I was like, it's too much crap. I'm not going to deal with it. But the more I think about it, it's like, I can get the best of like all 3 worlds in one army. And I'm like, does this have legs? Like, and what I will say about Big Walk is kind of what he said. He mentioned, I really wish I remember his name, but he mentioned like they're a turn 3, turn 4 army when your point values are up high and you have all the stuff you need. And now he can go in and charge. I think he is correct. But the problem is, what do you do against those armies that summon? Because you're going to go in with 2,000 points against someone at that point who probably has 2,500 points. And Games Workshop's pretty smart with their point values. It's not like, that's 500 more points. He got a quarter more of an army than you have. Like, what you gonna do? I do think there's legs, and I think I'm gonna stay in destruction. I mentioned maybe trying vampires or whatever they're called now, but I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I think I'm staying in destruction.
Soulblight, who cares?
Yeah,
Don't worry about them.
Every time I played them, I smile. I have 50 wolves. That's great. I got 5 pigs. Watch what they do to your 50 wolves. Like, ooh.
But by the way, talking about shooting myself in the foot, tomorrow this time I'll be doing Soulblight Gravelord discussion. So I'll be talking to Chris Johnson's.
Ask Chris what he does with 6 pigs charging his wolves.
I will. By the way, that big war chat was Aaron, who yeah, it's absolutely killed it. So
entertaining to watch. He did a great job. I was like, he's the one who made me literally go, let me read this. What does this do?
But you raise a good point, and I'm going to bring up the rules literally in a second. But one of the things, as an Orc player or an Orruk player, is that if you do find yourself in a position where you're like, look, I love my Ironjawz so much, but I just need some shooting. I need some mortal wounds. I need some shooting. I need something that will help me handle something in the meta. You've got access to the big war where you can take literally your whole army and just take that small unit of, I don't know, Cruel Boy, Bolt Boys with a Shaman, get you that 5-up mortal wounds, and the rest of them can be still piggies, right? So there's a lot of flex, which then kind of leads me into, well, talk to me about how you think about the rules, right? I'm an Ironjawz player. I've committed to Ironjawz. When you look at, let's say, the 3 sub-factions, your Warclans, do you prefer Iron Suns, Bloodtooth, Choppers? Are all 3 of them good in the meta at the moment? What's your thinking at the moment?
At the moment, Choppers are out. They're just out. There's too many armies that are maneuverable. There's too much magic. There's too much shooting. They can kill your one war chanter. They can deal with your stuff. There's things that block off the board, so your 4-inch movement models aren't really going to get to where you need to get to. I feel the Choppers out. I'm not saying there's not a list out there that can do the Lord's work. It's not for me.
Can I just say though, when Games Workshop told us about this infantry meta, I use quotation marks, that would have been a perfect world for the Choppers.
100%.
If what they wanted was achievable, because the Choppers is focused on Ardboys and Brutes, and it actually encouraged you to run a lot of infantry. Yeah, the Choppers is awesome. Amazing. But the world that they promised and the world that happened,
not the same.
Yeah, so it's almost like
we all thought.
Pause. Yeah.
We all thought, oh, it's going infantry, big blocks. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I gotta buy a whole bunch of models to keep playing Iron. And then they came out, and I was like, this changes nothing. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So the Choppers hold for a little bit. Yes, there's some play, but probably not as strong as it could be right now, unless Bounty Hunters changed and maybe the mid handbook update will happen. What about the other 2? You got Iron Suns and Bloodtooth. Are they both good?
Both are I think both are very good. Iron Suns in my mind are really good because it's ultimate board control. You put your stuff out there. You're chilling. Here's your army. You charge what you're going to charge. It's all well and good. And then they take their turn. And now my opponent goes, okay, I got to kill that. I got to kill that. All right. They go and attack it. And then you're like, I'm Iron Suns. I can charge you in your turn. And then they stare at you. And you charge them in their turn. You're like, you can't. When you're playing Iron Suns, in my opinion, your opponent doesn't get to pick and choose what he kills unless you put it off on an island by itself. If you decide to take your Maw Crusher and it's over there by itself, yeah, they're going to kill it. Why'd you do that? But if everything's like a semi-close meatball walking around, they can't choose what they're going to kill anymore because you're going to charge them during their turn. And now it's your whole army versus their army. So I think Iron Suns are very good.
And where that becomes important, I just want to make sure I connect the dots for the folks at home, is there's a lot of reason this is good, but the first example that comes to mind is any of the battle tactics where it's like pick a unit and do something to it, like pick a unit and kill it, or get your general to kill another hero or something like that, right? Because you can then go, cool, well, you've picked this as your battle tactic. I'm going to charge you with something that's not the unit that you've picked, and you've just completely denied the battle tactics. So all of a sudden, you've lost 2, maybe even 3 battle tactics, and that's just per battle tactic. Yep. So let alone, the fact that they might have buffed up a hero or something to go kill it, right? Mystic Shield or Finest Hour, they've done all these buffs to it. You charge it with some crap. You sacrifice your chaff, but in turn, you've kept your most important critical pieces at play, or you kept something on the objective.
Yeah. And the reason I settled with Bloodtooth is it's the player's army you're playing against. So I can move forward in this heavy incarnate world. You're going first, Scooter. Oh, okay. So you play, and then all of a sudden they take their turn. Their incarnate's right next to you. It attacked whatever it attacked, and it's my turn. I can now kill stuff around the incarnate, and at the end, charge the incarnate at the end of my turn. Do mortal wounds to it. It's not going to do anything, but I choose where that thing goes. I get to choose where your army starts to go, unless you want to flee and not fight. You know, it also, you can tag a unit and then run away and get back on objective. You can toe the line to stop someone from, getting onto that objective. It just makes your army infinitely more maneuverable. Some of these missions, I'm going to rally back on a 5-up. I hit your unit. You hit me back. Your unit dies. I retreat within 18 inches of my guy, and I rally him on a 5-up. It's like, oh, you killed 3 of my guys. I bring 1 back. Is lots of maneuverability with Bloodtooth. And is definitely the Piggy's, the Piggy's unit. So what I was toying with is, do I go back to Iron Sons if I take out the 2 3-man squads and put two brute squads in? Do I then go back to Iron Sons? Because they'll be running down the field. I'm going to try to charge you during your turn with them. So toying with stuff. But right now, Bloodtooth is definitely what I use when I'm playing the Piggies. Too much.
Yeah, I love both Iron Sons and Bloodtooths for the pure reason. So for anyone who doesn't have the rulebook in front of them, the Bloodtooth at the end of the combat phase, your Gore Grunters specifically, no other troops that have fought within 3 inches of an enemy can make a pile-in move. So there's an extra 3-inch pile-in. You can't fight in the pile-in. It's only the move.
Yeah.
And if they fought, but there's no models because you've obviously removed them, you then can make a free normal move or attempt to charge. It doesn't allow you to fight again, but it does allow you to advance up the board, as you mentioned, get more bodies onto an objective, or to actually get onto an objective to slingshot yourself. It could get you within a buff range. It could prepare you for a rally in the next hero phase. Whatever, there's so much flexibility that if you're going to go, if you're going Gore Grunters, Bloodtooth, I love them. But equally, Iron Sons being able to countercharge really messes up players.
This is so good. It's so much fun too, and you tell them, right? Because everyone should be nice, and this is what my army does. And then throughout the game, you're like, before you charge, I'm Iron Sons, I can charge you, and they just look at you. Oh, that's right. I don't want to get you. I don't need no gotcha game. I'm telling you what I do. That way you make the correct decision. But
talk to me about Mighty Destroyers. So Mighty Destroyers has three versions, I guess. So if you are within 3 inches of an enemy, is it outside of 12? And
outside
if you're
of 12.
and then if you're within 12, there's 3 different things, right? Who are good uses of Mighty Destroyers, and what's a good situation to use it? Is it just because I think a lot of people, when I see them, they just want to always go for the charge?
Yeah, it's not. It's fun because, like, in the game, a lot of times your opponent's choosing for you. Because now I'm so many drops. I'm not a 2-drop anymore. So I'm so many drops that a lot of times they pick. And they'll put themselves within 12 minutes. Like, cool, I can't Mighty Destroyers now. You take that off the bet. Or am I going to charge you now? So a lot of times, depending on how far away they are from you, if they move close enough, you might destroy as a charge so they can't redeploy to kill a unit to then, like we talked about, slingshot onto an objective. It's like, sure, go for it. One of the cheeky things that I have never done, and I want to do it so bad, I've never played against a rude person yet, right? And I'm waiting to play against that rude person so I can do it because I'm like, you're rude, I got you. You take your fasting, and you move with the whatever. You Mighty Destroyers into someone, so you charge them during the hero phase. And then during the movement phase, you retreat out. But you're within 3 inches of something you want to attack. I declared a charge. So now, since I declared a charge, I get a pile in. You didn't redeploy. I'm going to get you now. I'm waiting to play against a jerk. But there's no jerk. So I can't do that to you. You're too nice. So I've never done it. Man. I don't know.
All right. I want to break this down a little bit, because this is kind of where the most tactics in Ironjawz actually happens. This is the most tactical you're going to get.
That's as far as we go.
So some of the ways that I love it and I think about it, but I also, as an opponent, try to counter it, right? So when an Ironjawz unit is outside of 12 inches of the enemy, it gets to move. So it's a great way to, as you mentioned, stop redeploy, because it's happening in the hero phase. You can't redeploy in the hero phase. So it's going to advance your bodies up the board. It's going to, there's a lot of different things, right?
Yep.
If you're able to land the charge, and if you're within 12 inches, it does allow you to charge and avoid Unleash Hell.
You don't
It could also, pardon?
You don't have to worry about that at all, Lumineth.
What else does it do? What else can you think about other than the obvious?
It throws. So the 3-man units, or whatever you're using, Art Boys or Brutes, whatever you want to use, it allows you to get a lot more board control. It allows you to shoot your smaller units all over the place. The one big thing that I noticed, because I've gotten better, is it allows me to take my War Chainers and move them up. Your War Chainers are actually key. A lot of Ironjawz players, they worry about the pigs going, the Maw Crusher going. I'm like, how do I get my War Chainer within 12 inches so I can be +1 to hit that guy with all of my stuff? I need my Mega Boss on foot to be up there. I need to move him up, right? It's not, if your Piggy army can go forward and charge their entire army and kill it, you've already won. Most of the time, that's not the case anymore. You throw your Maw Crusher and a unit of 6 pigs. So what's the third option? To me, it's almost every time one of my little War Chainers running up the field with me, and then he's running to catch up just to do his ability. That way I'm a little bit stronger. Or for a future turn. For that turn 2, I need my War Chainer closer to give me the bonus of +1 damage. A lot of people are like, they take their units and they throw them away from their guys. Yeah, you're strong for 1 turn, but what do you do the next turn? Like, my guys are right there ready to give it to me. It also makes you infinitely more maneuverable in the terms of when they go to block you and stop your Mighty Destroyers. I love it when they do it. It makes me smile. I'm like, all right, my goal was to charge you anyway, so you're just giving me a unit. I'll take the unit, because most of the time people will throw one up and nothing behind it. Like, it's just you're just stopping Mighty Destroyers for 1 turn, and I'm still going to go grab these objectives with these pigs. All right, cool. I'll attack that unit instead. Well, let's roll for next turn. Let's see who gets the next turn. So it just makes you infinitely more maneuverable. The piling in is great. I almost never use it for piling in. I'm more worried about getting to other objectives. You also have to do tricks, right? Like, all right, I'm going to fast send back 12 just so my Mega Boss can Mighty Destroyers over there. Once you get there, that can Mighty Destroyers, and it's fun. Mighty Destroyers definitely is the linchpin, in my opinion, of the Ironjawz book. It makes them what they are. It makes them the combat unit that you want them to be. I'm dictating combat. I'm dictating charges. So that's why I like it.
And that's why I wanted to pause on it, because what you use Mighty Destroyers on as well is such a it's such a mind game, right? Because most people are concerned about the charge. But if you play your movement game smart and anticipate potentially Mighty Destroyers, you can make those charges 11 and 12 inches. You can make it really tough for them. And then they go, well, I'm not going to charge with those buffed up piggies or your Maw Crusher or whatever the combat monster might be. But what you called out, and I'm glad you called it out, is because it's a trend that I've seen since 1st edition, where if you go these double Crusher or even, single Maw Crusher and piggies, you easily get out of range of your War Chanters and any of your buff pieces, right? Back in the day in 1st edition, there was this thing called the wasn't it Spell Portal? What was it? The Vortex. There was a Vortex.
Oh.
No, there was the stupid Vortex that allowed you to extend the range of your things, and that's no longer there. So it's like you raise a good point. Is, do I just buff up my troops for 1 turn and then I'm out of range? Or how do I get my War Chanters and things like that continuing to be in range? And what you just said, using Mighty Destroyers to increase the movement, really good shout. Really
it's 4
good
inches. I mean, you're going 8 inches plus a run. You need to be close. Yeah, my first opponent taught me something. He was the bomb, bro. It was fun.
Martin Orlando in the chat saying one of the reasons he takes the Law Seeker is because of the Mighty Destroyer counter.
Martin, how's it going, buddy? Leave my pigs alone.
It's a really good rule. It's a really good rule. I think there's a lot of flexibility and maneuverability. I think the long bomb charges are a low value play. I've got better uses for my CP. compared to the long bomb charge, I think movement is and then you obviously get to move and some other things as well. So
control over the board. It's huge.
What about the WAR? Like when is because you got this once per game WAR that you get to call down, right? And that allows you to add 1 to the charge rolls and improve the rend characteristic of melee weapons by 1. Is this something that you use early? Is this something where you're setting yourself up for multiple charges? What's the thinking here of when you pull down the WAR?
For me, it's always what turn is going to be most advantageous, right? But you have to keep in mind, as a combat army, they also have a turn. So you may think, I can do this turn 2. But if they go before you in turn 2 and take out, say, half of 2 of your units of 6, I just lost a lot of punching power there. So do I have to pop it off turn 1 to kill maybe a good piece and their whole front line? Or do I save it? For me, it's based off the army I'm going to play. When I'm playing against like Daughters, for instance, if I can charge a unit of 15 and 10 snakes with 1 unit and 6 pigs, I'll declare the wog that turn and have 6 pigs kill all their snakes, right? And it's just like, let's just go. The problem is Marathi's still smiling at you, like, I'm going to kill you now. You're like, yes, you are. It's okay. So it's all about the army. The thing I like most about it, or the thing I think is the cheekiest about it, is that +1 to charge and blood tubes. After I hit you and I wipe out a unit, I'm +1 to charge if I declare another charge. So you're more likely to get those longer charges in, to do more impact hits, to do more stuff. The Ren is always good, but the truth is I'm already Ren 2. So Ren 3 is just a lot. It turns, suns into paper. It turns chaos into paper. It turns almost everything. Almost everything gets turned into paper at Ren 3. You take your 6 up, have fun. The +1 Ren, by far, it's the best wog of all 3 of them. Well, I can't say that. The Savage Works, that 1 turn of 4 board save is a beautiful thing to have. I can't pick which one's better. It's one of the 2 is better.
What I'm hearing is either earlier is better for the WAR. So whether it's turn 1, if I was taking the top of turn 1, probably not. If I was at the bottom of turn 1, I would consider it. Turn 2, definitely. Obviously, you definitely. I wouldn't want to use it any later than turn 2. But I think what you mentioned is key, is making sure you try not to lose those critical pieces because you've held it back too long, and they've charged you because you lose the priority roll going into turn 2.
The only time I notice I hold it for much later is against armies that don't have a high armor save. And it happens, like some Nurgle stuff. It's like I almost never use it until I'm fighting the big Papa Nurgle or whatever their big main piece is. It's like, I'm already Ren 2. I'm eating through your armor. You can all out defense and have a 6 up if you want. But most armies, they'll have something there that's a 4 up armor save. And it's like, you know what? Now's the time to do it. Kill their threats. But you're 100%. Bottom of turn 1, I'm using it right away. If you give me a really juicy turn 1 where like a lot of your stuff is there, I'll use it turn 1 at top and attempt to kill most of your army as soon as possible.
Yeah, obviously this is with a Piggy mindset. If you're taking, something more like the choppers and you got a lot of Ard boys and brutes, then turn 2 to turn 3 is probably when you call down the WAR. But if you're in this fast speed Piggy, and again, depending on how much distance is between you and your opponent in the battle plan, and did they deploy on the line or did they deploy back? Turn 1, turn 2, maybe turn 3, but the sooner you've got your buffs on, the sooner you can get into combat. And then, as you've called out, the blood tooths with the additional move or charge, that's a really good combination that you called out. What about smashing and bashing? Now, this is something that, to me, this is what gets me. This is the rule that would get me to play Ironjawz. It's this one rule: smashing and bashing. If Gargants have this would be like my perfect army. It would be the perfect army. Smashing and bashing is dear to my heart because in the combat phase after the Ironjawz have fought, you can pick one friendly Ironjawz that hasn't fought within 3, and it fights immediately. So you're getting 2 for 1.
I do not talk bad about Games Workshop, but the one mistake they made is changing Smash and Bashing from what it was to what it is now, in my opinion. They took something that was really, really good. Hey, the next closest Ironjawz unit gets to fight. if you killed a whole unit. And if they killed that unit, the next one gets to. It was already super good. And they changed it to this unit fights, and if they win, you can pick a unit on the moon, and they now get a fight. And if they fight and win, you can go to Mars and fight over there. You didn't have to worry about distance or strategy or anything. I'm like, they made it very good. It's like, oh, you killed something? Fight again. And because you're pigs, you have so much damage output. Oh, is that a little character bridging this? I'll kill him real quick with these two guys. Okay, so I know I got smashing and bashing. It doesn't matter if I don't kill the rest of your stuff. My next unit gets to fight. It's by far one of the funnest things in the book. And explain it so, because you always sit down. Have you ever played Ironjawz before? No. All right, bro. I move very fast. I hit very hard, and I'm Ren fucking 3. And they go, okay. I was like, yeah, you understand. I move very fast. Like, I'm showing them like 18 inches. This one's 30 inches. Like, this is my range. And it's fun watching people figure it out. And then you go, oh, and by the way, if I kill one of your units, another one of my units get a fight before you get a fight. And then with the you strike last thing, it's like, check this out. I killed that, and now I get a fight over here.
Well, if anyone's listened to any of my streams in the past, one of my mates and a guy who I play often, Austin, he always jokes with me. It's not even a joke, actually. It's gotten to a point where he does actually live rent free in my head. Specifically the mega boss with Destroyer, like that fight on death lives in my head, and it's like #1 priority. And as you mentioned, that hero, cool. He's a great trade piece because I can kill it. I've ignored the piggies and the Maw Crusher. Yes, if I don't ignore him, he is going to punch me in the face. If I then kill him in combat, he's going to punch me in the face again. So, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, rent free. That's a good word for it. That is one of my new favorite models, and he has Destroyer, and I just smile. It's great. It's so much fun. Smash and bash it. You got me there, man. That's so good. It'd be funny if they went to like hey, you can buy abilities. Like for 50 points, your army can have smash and bash. And for this, you can have this. Like do like a mega game and just throw in like everything. It'd be so much fun to come up with silly armies.
With Smash and Bash, I agree. By the way, like I'll Nomad Feastmaster myself, and I'll make my own battle tome where it's like Sons of Gorka Morka, and like I just basically bring that allegiance ability into my sons. But what I wanted to call out here and just get your thoughts on is with smashing and bashing. Do you find that you are sending your armies in, I guess, piecemeal? So when you charge, right, are you setting up one charge? Are you charging at the same time with multiple units so you trigger the smash and bash? Are you sending in your whole army at once? Is that enough to be able to set up multiple combats, or is it just a nice to have if you find yourself in that situation?
I'm almost always sending in at least 2 units. It's always at least 2. Sometimes those 2 units are attacking multiple units at the same time. So maybe 3 to 4 units at the same time. Rare do I see like I'm gonna send 3 to 4 things in at once. Like fasten my Maw Crusher, move him 10. These 3 units go forward 18, charging with everything. Because if that happens, the game's over already anyway. If I'm committing that much, he doesn't have the right army or she doesn't have the right army to play against me, and it's just not gonna be fun for that person. I've noticed it's 2 usually. You throw in 2, this unit deals with this unit deals with this. Okay, we roll off. Or it's your turn because I went top, and here's the 2 things you get to pick. There's several armies out there that can effectively have screens. Skaven, Zeech, Soulblight, they can have screens and hide their good stuff behind it. When that happens, almost always, here's a unit of 3 pigs, maybe 2. They'll be the ones that are buffed up. I'll kill all your screens. You kill all that stuff, but I still have my 4 main pieces now to deal with the rest of your army. So it's, do they have screens? Do they not have screens? Stupid Treeman, Sylvaneth. Oh, man, they hurt. They come in and they just pick up your whole unit and then they leave. They eat all your food and they leave the party. Like, who invited them? I didn't invite them. I didn't ask for them to show up, and they still ate all my cake. It's crap. I'll tell you what, they're the worst. Games suck.
Okay. Couple of things. First, yes, I love it because, especially with bounty hunters, right, you can remove those screens relatively easily, even if it's like, a unit of 20 or 40 zombies, you should be able to clear it pretty well, especially with bounty hunters. But 2, I agree with you, going 2 for 1 because you guarantee yourself 2 fights at the same time can help pull down that major hero, that buff kind of elite troops, pull down that big block of troops that might be holding an objective, or have multiple combats and knowing that you don't they're not going to fight against you until you get 2 combats. The other thing I love about as well is even if you go into a monster, if they were to roar at you, well, guess what? They've only roared at one of your units. You've still got a unit you can buff up, all out attack or whatever you might have, and go in there as well. So you can kind of get around with those multiple, monstrous rampages.
Absolutely. It's just a lot more. And like you said, 2 for 1. It's like, I'm going to swing with 2 things. You're going to swing with 1. More than likely something I'm going to kill of yours. So you're only going to kill 1 or 2 pigs back if you're playing it right. 100% smash and bash for the win.
While you raised it, Sylvaneth, how are you handling them so far? Have you found any tricks yet? I've had some good success so far. I'm 2 from 2 with against Sylvaneth.
Never lost to them.
What's the secret as an Ironjawz player to defeat Sylvaneth?
They're going to smash one of your units. One of your units is going to die. They'll kill the 6-man pig, the 6-man pig. They're going to kill one of the 2 6-man pigs. They're dead. It's just dead. It depends. I guess I'm being negative. If they take in the scythe tree things and 6 of them, your 6-man unit pigs is dead outside of him rolling something god awful. You're just not going to beat that. But now I go 18 inches across the board or 30 inches and I kill your 6-man squad. So what I noticed with Sylvaneth is they'll have 2 to 3 hardy hitting things that are just as good as pigs, just as good as the most destructive thing out there. But if you kill one of them, now they have 2. If you kill 2 of them, now they got 1. And the problem with that army, in my opinion, is they're even less board control than most armies because they're doing this dancing around thing, purposely trying to stay away from you, which means they're off of objectives. And your army is just walking on the objectives and killing my army, I guess, because I can reach out and get them. It is walking on objectives and killing their units. It is scary, and one bad roll and you're going to lose that game. The games I played, I would be willing to say, sure, maybe dice were in my favor. He had a 9-man block of these things at a specific tournament, and my big maul crusher walked up, and I just got lucky, and I killed 7 of his scythe things. He ain't coming back from that. The one game on stream, round 6, he punched my 6-man group of pigs. They were gone. I went forward. He stomped, whatever. I got, like we said, smashing and bashing, walk forward, killed the rest of his scythe guys. Okay, well, now you're out 1 big block. You have Durthu, which, by the way, he is amazing. Or that model, because apparently you can have like 5 of them. That unit is ridiculously good. But I feel with them, if you can take out 1 threat at a time, it's kind of like when you fight against Suns. If you can kill one of these Gargants a turn, eventually you'll come around. And the Gargants are like, well, I'm going to try to kill you every turn to kill one of your main squads. So it's a hard balance. They just don't have a screen. Any screen they take is not good enough to stop you from walking through it.
No, the key I found as well is strike and fade. You got to be wholly within a particular terrain feature. So it's either 9 or 12 of like overgrown or their wildwoods. So if you can draw the fight away from the wildwoods and extend them, because if they're not wholly within, they can't strike and fade. Then they've left their trees are out there in the wind. You can smash them.
You just taught me something, bro. I didn't know that. I thought they could just leave. I was like, all right.
No, they've got to be wholly within a terrain feature. So it's like wholly. I think it's from memory, it's wholly within 9, but there's 9. An allegiance ability that allows you to do 12. But if you can draw the fight a little bit away from the trees, then they can't strike and fade, and they're not durable enough to be able to take your counterpunch. They want to do as much damage as possible. So look for it. It's hard, right? Because they can do 3 overgrown pieces. But...
I'll be calling you before games. Hey, so what do I do?
That's all right. I message Caleb occasionally when I see him play. I'm like, do this. What's this? Watch out for Gotrek. It's sitting there. Favorite command trait. You've got a couple.
Hulking Brute is man. Mega Bossy is going to be fun if somehow the Choppas take over. I think Mega Bossy is going to be the way to go. When you need multiple things running down the field at the same time, I need my War Chainers walking right behind my Brutes. I need my Mega Boss on foot walking down with that. I think Mega Bossy would be good in that situation. I took it in a tournament before this one, and that's why, truth be told, my list never changed. I just resubmitted the same list, but in my head, I was like, I'm not playing that. I'm playing Hulky and Brute. I was like, I had to tell each opponent, okay, so this is what I actually have. Ignore that right there. Hulking Brute, I feel, is better for the list I'm taking right now because solely of mortal wounds. I need to go forward. I need to do a 2-up. I need to do mortal wounds to you. Do I stomp you and do more mortal wounds? And then I fight you. Mighty Wog, I've literally never taken it. Touched by the Wog, my boy B-Dog, I got a friend, man. He wants 4 with Maw Crusher. He has Touched by the Wog. He has Arcane Tome. And we have the Gnashing Jaws. He runs forward, Mighty Destroyers, goes for his 12, D3 Mortal Wounds you, cast Gnashing Jaws. It's awesome. But that's only a second Maw Crusher like list, and I'm just not a fan personally of 2 Maw Crushers. So there's a lot of gas in a lot of the command traits. A lot of them, there's a lot of gas. But I prefer Hulking Brute.
I would have thought you would have said Mega Bossy because it allows a general to issue Mighty Destroyers twice. Yes, that's CP hungry, and yes, you've got the Fungoid Cave Shaman to generate you an extra CP on a 4-up. So I would imagine, given that Mighty Destroyers is so good, you'd want to be able to issue it twice.
So I've played it in 3 tournaments now total, and each time it's never, ever been advantageous to do it. It's always been, I need to send just these 2 things forward or these 3 things forward. It's never been a point where I just send 5 things forward. So I realized like, this isn't the one for me. But with the choppers, or if I switch to Brutes, have some Brutes in my army, I can see how it would probably come back. And maybe I don't need the D3 Mortal Wounds. I need to get things up the table more. But like we were talking about, it's all about board control, not just controlling your end of the board, controlling the whole board. Because you're going to go after me. If I send everything in front of you, you can fight everything I have. I want to have like layers to fight you.
What about the artifacts? Armor of Gork, Destroyer, or Boskewer?
All right. Destroyer.
Like I'm rereading Boskewer at the moment. I'm like, why am I taking that?
I'm not gonna lie. So Destroyer is the bomb, bro. So for me, I put Destroyer on, the Mega Boss on foot, and it just makes it a huge threat just in the middle of the board, holding this one weapon, smiling at you like, please come near me. I've started to put armor on my Mega Boss. It lowers my movement by 2, and I can't run, but it gives me 6 up ward save and +1 to hit. The reason I think I'm starting to like that one a little bit, right? I still want to keep playing. You mentioned it before. My army is very command point heavy. And a lot of times, like, all right, do I only +1 to hit or not? If I'm fighting a monster, I'm probably going to end up Titanic dueling the monster or roaring at it. If I duel it, now my mount is +1 to hit. The armor only makes your guy +1 to hit, but he's still 3 damage apiece if he's buffed up. He has 7 attacks, and it grows as he goes. Hitting on 2s is just amazing, and that 6-up ward save takes you from 18 wounds to mathematically 21 wounds. And as you gain wounds, it even more from there. The 6-up ward is just fun. It's something like people, it's not that they're hesitant to like attack you, but you can tell in their head, like, all right, he also has a 6-up ward. Do we have save? Do we attack that or the pigs? It makes them think about it. -2 to movement is never an issue because your movement 30 if you have to be with fasted. Your movement 20 with Mighty Destroyers is like, all right, I'm good. Like, I don't need to be 12-inch move. So I like Destroyer on the little guy, and I like Armor of Gork a lot on the big guy right now. But like we said, you got to keep playing, and who knows when a new book comes out, and you're like, oh, this is terrible now. I need to be 12-inch movement. I don't think so. Armor's good.
No, I agree. Yeah, with the board, if we were in the old edition where the board was more of the 6x4, yeah, you'd probably feel the movement a little bit harder. But because it's gotten a bit smaller, and you've got so much movement shenanigans in your army, the -2 is not so bad.
Yeah.
And, there might be a reason you take Warlord to get a second artifact. And I think you've got good internal artifacts, let alone what you tap into with the universal artifact choices.
Yeah. And I do take Warlord. We get us a second artifact in all my games. It was fun being a 2-drop and like dictating who goes first and second. In my heart, it's a lot easier to play the game when my opponent goes, "You're going to go first." I go, "All right, I'll go first." Like, I don't have to choose. Cool. It's like when your wife asks you, "Hey, what do you want to eat for dinner?" And you go, "I don't know, babe. What do you think?" They go, "Chick-fil-A." We're getting Chick-fil-A. I broke the code, man. You just ask them, what do they think?
Don't call me out.
I just tell my wife what we're having because I've gotten to a point where I know that she's not helping. She's not contributing. What was I going to say? I've completely side. No, it's good. No, you're completely. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about with going first, going second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find a lot? You just reminded me. Do you find a lot of people give you first? Because you've always got the threat, right? You've got the threat of getting into me before I get to put my buffs and my debuffs and all those things, right? At the same time, I'm obviously also worried about you double turning me. So what do you find the average person does to a Ironjawz player?
Most of the time, they're going to give you first turn. They're going to let you get objectives. They're going to dictate the proving grounds. They're going to mess with the board, and especially at some of the missions when they can really dictate the board. They'll let you go first. They'll take the risk of how many units am I going to send forward to fight them. But the trick is I don't move a lot forward. If I can't go in and get a really juicy hit, a lot of times I don't move forward. I walk up to objectives. I go click, click, and I go, okay, your turn. And I just maintain my distance from them. So if they're going to charge me, they're going to have to commit to hoping they get that back-to-back turn. So they're going to have to move and hope they get back-to-back. It's like, I'll let you do it because I'm 18-inch movement. I'm good. Like, I'm just going to touch objectives and say your turn. You know, it never, the truth is it never matters if I go first or second. It's like, okay, like you just play an army where you can smile.
And I wanted to draw that out because as people are constructing their list, whether they go battle regiment, they go warlord, they go some other type of combination, you're right. Your type of army doesn't really care about going first, going second. So why take battle regiment when it doesn't really mean a lot to you? You could be better off getting an extra artifact, some extra spells, extra command points, whatever you might need. I think that's what I wanted to draw out of you. And there's a lot of power not having to worry about who goes first, going second.
Yeah.
You know, because unless you're one drop, there's no way to guarantee it. And a lot of people are taking bounty hunters or expert conquerors, so you're at minimum 3 drops there.
Yeah.
And regardless, you're like, cool. Well, I think the key though is not overextending yourself. Like, yeah, you get the first turn. Just because I can move 12 doesn't mean I take 12. I get onto the objective, score 1, 2 more, score my battle tactic, try to stay out of range of my opponent. Normally their shooting might be, 18. Their spell ranges are 18. So don't give them anything for free. But start scoring early, and then the pressure is already on because you're up 5, and they've now got to start taking objectives off you. And if they don't win the double turn, then you're in range. You're about to punch them in the face.
Wog turn is what happens. You'll get the wog turn. Check this out.
Question from the chat from Jeremiah. I like this one because I actually played at a tournament recently where they've said no book grand strategies or battle tactics. And I actually didn't mind it. I didn't actually mind playing purely what was in the battle plan. Do you have a recommendation for Jeremiah with book grand strategies not being allowed? Do you have one from the General's Handbook that you might draw from?
I personally like getting in the deployment zone. Killing all their battle line is a great one. You're already playing +1 damage to all their battle line if they have GVs. So you're gonna run through their battle line. Your army's built to deal with their battle line. Think if you're playing against a person who's putting their characters and their elite units in front of their battle line, I've already won the game. I'm in 3. Cool. Put your stuff in front of your battle line. Watch this. It's gonna be really, really funny. And then I'll fight my elite army versus your little battle line people that you decide not to put in the front. So I like battle line. The 4 corners thing isn't hard at all for pigs to do. 1 pig in the middle of the board has all 4. 1 pig, controlling the top 2, 1 pig on the bottom 2. You have all 4. That's an easy one to do. I like those, but I really like killing the other person's battle line. And I actually think they should get rid of every book tactic and all of it. Like, if the goal of the game is to not make it fair, because fair is a dumb word, but to try to balance it out, there's some armies that just have the dumbest stuff. Like the Fire Slayers. the one that every single person takes. I just got this thing on the board at the end of the game, and you can't turn it off. Like, what is this?
Yeah, there's like 3 factions that have a priest that is going to pull down your endless your invocation. And Elliot in the chat saying as well, killing all battle line lets you double dip with some of the battle tactics, the book tactics, and assuming the book tactics are being used. But there's a lot of internal synergy between what you want to do and the grand strategies and the battle tactics, regardless if you are using the GBH only or if you're using a combination of GBH and battle tone.
And think about it: if you're killing their battle line or their GVs, they're not getting your deployment zone. They're not getting the +3 for that turn. They're not killing one of your stuff to control approving grounds. They're all dead. You're reducing the amount of battle tactics they get to do. Like, it's fun.
Speaking of fun, here is your Nova list. So because you use the AOS app, it doesn't give me half the information.
What do you mean?
Everybody stop using the AOS app. Please use War Scroll Builder. It is the superior list creator out there, unless you're using pen and paper. But so your list, so you've gone Bloodtooth, No Place for the Weak, Inspired as the Triumph. You've got your War Chanter. You've got a Fungoid Cave Shaman, which is an ally. You've got the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher, who's the general. Mega Bossy, the Chopper and Riptooth Fist with the Armor of Gork and Fasten. You've also got yourself a War Chanter. By the way, yes, the ally should be the Fungoid Cave Shaman. Don't at me. That's a typing error. You got a mega boss with Destroyer. You've got 6 piggies, 6 piggies, 3 piggies, 3 piggies.
Absolutely.
How many points is this? Is 1965? Was it 2, 4, 6, like 9 drops or something?
9 drops.
Cool.
It's straightforward. One of the War Chanters is Fix and Beat, so he'll D3. The other War Chanter was it's not Get and Beat. It's the one that's +1 to hit. I always forget the name of it.
Before you discuss, I want to call out Thomas here. Scooter was the first GT opponent. If you need to have your face smashed in, Scooter is the kindest killer. I look forward to the Netflix documentary about you.
Yes, it's good. It's you just smile while you kill people. Like, hey man, because the truth is, I love it just as equally on the reverse. When a team tournament we're playing, 20 witch elves walked up to my dude and was like, "I'm Ren 4, and these are all hit on 2s, wound on 2s." And I'm like, okay, just killed my unit. I'm like, this is so dope. Like, I equally love it when I get my face beaten, because that's the only way you learn is you do what? Okay, awesome. Okay.
I love your humor and your look at the game. It's easy to get too serious. I never forget the tournament that I just played at like 2 weeks ago. My first game was against a guy called Jaren, and he was playing Skaven, and it was all Scryer. Like, it was just like warp lightning cannons and rattling guns, and he's just like, listen, either I'm going to die really quickly or you're going to die really quickly. We don't know how this is going to go. I roll a lot of ones. Let's see how this goes. And it was it was the funnest game, because like it's on a knife edge, and we're laughing the whole way. But this is not the Skaven show. It's the Ironjawz show. How does this list work? What's the synergies? How does it combine together? What's it do? And why did you choose what you chose?
So the main synergy of the army for me is controlling the battlefield as much as possible, having the ability to reach out and kill what I need to kill. We always talk like shooting armies. Can your shooting army kill what it needs to kill every turn? Well, I'm only 18 inches. So the answer to that is no, it can't. So why are you taking it? Right. But if you're 36 inches, you can touch anything. Well, this army, it's 18 inches of movement. The mega boss is 30 inches. I can run down the field as fast as possible and deal with units if I have to. I can also just stand in objectives and smile at you while you try to figure out where to go, right? It's fun to play a combat army like this, play an army of Ironjawz or orcs, right? And to play them tactfully and watch people go, oh, you didn't move forward. No, I didn't move forward. You'd kill me if I move forward. So I'm going to sit over here and wait for you to come towards me. The synergies, like Fun Cave Shaman is literally there just to generate a command point. If you get a Mystic Shield, awesome. He also doesn't die to Karos Fate Weaver, by the way. He's better than him. The Orc Mega Boss is the bomb because it controls the center of your army. If they also have an Alpha Striking army, it's like, yeah, come on down. This guy's right here. If you decide to kill him, he's going to probably kill or at least do half damage to whatever charged me. And then obviously you have the 3 major threats, the 2 blocks of 6 pigs and the big mega boss. So I have big hammers, and all of them can pretty well take a hit. It is why I chose this type of army. And tell you the truth, it's the only army I play.
Can I just first call out a couple of things? One as an opponent, right? You and I play, you and I meet at Nova, and this is the list that I fight. When I look at this list, it's like, how on earth do I dismantle this list? I'm a very counterplay type army, right? And I want to, as you mentioned, like Sylvaneth, pull it down one at a time. Because if I go into everything all at the same time, nothing will die. I've got to reduce you. But do I go to the Maw Crusher? Do I do the 2 units of 6 piggies? Do I go the unit of 3 because it's more manageable? And it's tough, right? Because if you go into one of them, the others are going to smash you in the face. So it's very hard to handle with so much movement in you. The Fungoid Cave Shaman has a native as a 4-up ward. Once per game, it can double cast a spell, which is really nice. I love the Fungoid Cave Shaman in my Gits, let alone in Ironjawz. So some cool stuff there. But why did you do blocks of 6 piggies instead of like more 3s? Like, because I find 3s are good enough. Don't more 3s mean you've got more board presence and more threats?
Oh man. In my opinion, no. A block of 6 pigs. If you kill my war trainers, it's like keys to the game. Well, what army are you playing? Are you playing an army that can reach out and kill my stuff? You should be killing my war trainers. If you're killing my 6-man blocks of pigs with shooting or magic, I think you're doing it wrong. Kill my war trainers. Now I can't buff them up. And then move on from there. Definitely deal with the 6-man blocks of pigs if you can. But if I have a 6-man block of pigs, I can charge 1 6-man into half of your army and do really well. Where 3-man, I got to split and choose where my attacks are going to go. Because you're right, a 3-man block of pigs can walk up to almost any unit and deal with that 1 unit. But it's only dealing with 1. Or a block of 6 can really go up and disrupt your whole thing. And I have a good chance of being alive even after your turn. After you take your turn, that 6-man block might still be there, but the 3-man won't. So I hit you with a block of 6, you take your turn, and here comes another block of 6 and a Maw Crusher. Your army's dead. If I take a bunch of 3s, yeah, I can go in and hit, but with Smash and Bashing, there's no guarantee that next 3-man block will be able to swing. With the 6-man block, oh, it's guaranteed. Another block's going to swing in a second. So that's why I like the tunes of 6. My friend I mentioned before, Brian, was the one who convinced me to actually do 2 blocks of 3. For the longest time, I was just doing 6, 6, 6. I was like, let's go. The devil's numbers, horns. Let's do it. I was like, all right, now let's do 2 blocks of let's do 2 blocks of 3s and get them in. It's evolved. It's definitely evolved. The punching power is what I like, and they're really resilient. 1 command point, and I'm staying if I have 1 pig left. Then I'm rallying them all.
I was literally about to say that one of the most demoralizing things that can happen, other than what I did to that storm guy, that Skaven guy. I apologize. I rolled a 6 on 1 drag. I unit 2 dragons, and I rolled a 6 on one of them, so I brought back 9 wounds. And the poor guy, I had 1 dragon left on 1 wound, and if he did that 1 wound, it's gone. But I rallied, so I brought back a model. But outside of that, being able to roll a dice, especially some of the battle plans where the rally goes from a 6 to a 5,
which is insane.
Is insane for a block of 6, because then you can bring back 1, 2 for every CP. And as you mentioned, that Fungoid Cave Shaman is generating you an extra CP on a 4-up every turn. So you have ample to handle Mighty Destroyer, All Out Attack, re-rolling charges. You've got enough CP for yourself.
And remember, I can use 1 command point and do that to my 6-man block, and a 3-man block at the same time. And I've done that to people. Just bringing pigs back. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and you can do multiple rallies as well, like with the multi one. It's so good. It's so good. The one thing that I've really appreciated playing my mate Austin is how well that Mega Boss trades up. So that foot 140 point hero, he is such a great trade piece that he'll kill 200, 300 points
easy,
or distract that damage from killing your 6 piggies.
That's what I noticed the most is the distraction. I'm going to sit over here, and they're like, oh, I got to go deal with that. And you're like, okay. Because he's going to be on an objective or moving towards you. Oh, he is. And with Destroyer, I'm a pop Destroyer. You charge them. We'll see what happens. It's like, let's have fun. I love him. I think I think he's he's like the secret sauce because he holds your back line. Because for so long, like the pigs ran forward and I control up there, but now I'm controlling my back line too. It's not just a war chanter. Not that they can't fight, but you know, he's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually a really good shout, actually, because you don't need him to be charging up the board. It could be a backfield defender, right? If you played the Nidus path or whatever and people are teleporting around the board, cool. I've still got my Mega Boss. And for most things that are teleporting around the board, they're relatively squishy. The Mega Boss will handle it. So for 140 points, it's a bit of a no-brainer. I absolutely would take it. I think you raise a good point around Gore Grunters having units of 6 and having a couple of threats, because if you have units of 3, yes, you'll have more combats, but your buffs won't go as far, your rallies won't go as far, your threats are much easier to handle. I would personally much rather handle units of 3 than units of 6s. And as you,
it's a lot.
Yeah, and it means when you go into a combat, you're able to, really lift something when you pull down the wire, especially with a unit of 6. I imagine coherency doesn't really cause an issue for you, and getting your attacks in.
No, you do it. It's all the base size, because you have like the CAD programs that shows you like, oh, this is how many can get in, and like back in the old fantasy days, we're like, oh, I direct hit, so I hit 25. You just know what you hit. Like with this, it's like I can get 6 in, like everything within an inch of each other gets 6 in, as long as nothing's around it or there's no obstacles. Or it's like I just can't get 1 in. I can only get my 2-inch range. Like you can really like figure it out. Six is a good number. You're right though. Like there are situations where the 6 is like, well, that's 2 people not fighting. Maybe 3 would have been better in this situation. It's all situational, but that's half of this game. You have terrain, you have dice manipulation, you have people running away, redeploying. There's lots of different things people can do, or even running. One guy ran at me and it limited the amount I got in. I was like, oh, that's pretty good, dude. I didn't see that coming. He bottlenecked me. I liked it.
What is the Maw Crusher bringing to the table? Because I actually haven't played a Maw Crusher for a while. It seems like people have dropped it for more foot troop heroes or more bodies, whether it is those brutes or ard boys or another unit of pigs. The Maw Crusher can do multiple you can use a CP on multiple units, but what else is it bringing to the table?
Fear. Pure. It's awesome because you're playing toy soldiers. And watching people afraid of a toy soldier is funny. He's really good in this game. He is, but his one model, just feed him chaff. If you feed him chaff, though, his wounds will go up and his attacks will go up. For me, it's the ability to reach out and get some. It's what I was talking about with like a shooting army. I have this super awesome model that can almost kill, right? There's a handful of things that it can't kill in one turn. Could almost kill anything in the game in one turn. And he goes 30 inches. It's like, where are you hiding? You're going to hide in that corner over there? Because I'm going to go to that corner over there and kill you. And a lot of times what I do with him is I use him as the 3-man pig squad. How most people take the 3-man pigs and they run up a corner and deal with something small. Now I'll take my Maw Crusher and I'll go over there. And now all of a sudden I have 19 wounds and I have 8 attacks. And then on my turn 2, I have 20 wounds and I have 9 attacks. And by turn 3, I have 21 wounds and 10. And now I'm fighting your big thing. And I'm all souped up and I have everything I need. So a lot of times it's a lot of board control, plus that 18-inch bubble of just command points, rallying 3 things, all out defense on 3 things, all out attack on 3 things. It's way too worth its points.
So then follow-up question is, why don't you have 2 crushers?
2 crushers, you limit the amount of wounds you actually have, and you drastically limit the amount of board control. If you take 2 crushers, just like with your Gargants, the best way to run them is in tandem, sitting next to each other, running down, fighting things. It's not that they can't split up, but if you split up, you've now split your army. And someone I'm going to focus on this Maw Crusher, while that one can only kill 1 unit. Now I'm going to turn around and focus on that one. Or if I have 6 pigs, my 6 pigs can walk up and tangle up 3 of your units in 1 turn. Or a Maw Crusher, 2, but never 3.
What about your war chanters? I don't know if that's a copy and paste error from me, but I noticed that you haven't got your beats fixed. So you've got your fix and beat, your get and beat, and the killer beat.
You said the app. Yeah, the app doesn't transfer over same what you have. So I have to tell each opponent what I have on each of them every game.
So of the 3, what do you like? What's priority? What's first, second, third when it comes to your list? So fix and beat for the what is that? You can heal D3 wounds
to any ally. to any friendly model. So in a team tournament, I like team tournaments, full disclosure. So, oh, is that a big old giant? I'm going to heal you D3. Let's go. Keep going, buddy. Keep moving up. It's really good. And truth be told, I'm torn on both. I'm really having a lot of fun. My first opponent I played at Nova, a guy named Scott, he goes, yeah, you can do that in my turn. I go, what'd you say? He goes, yeah, you can do that in my turn. I go, I can +1 hit you on your turn? Yeah, it says at the start of combat. I go, get the hell out of here. This is awesome. And as we were talking about, I run my war chanters up. I go for it. They because I need +1 damage on turn 2. So on their turn, I'm +1 damage you or +1 hit you. Let's go. So that one is very good, but 3d6 charge is disgusting.
That's the get and beat.
Yeah, that is disgusting. Like, it's hard to pick the other two. I will say I do like Fix 'em better than both the other ones, just because it's the only way of healing, you know. And my bravery is low, so it's like I'm not relying on me to roll under an 8. You know, it's like I've rolled 9s and 10s all day and just laugh while my guy doesn't heal himself. So it's just another way to heal yourself, to get yourself out of a bracket so you can keep moving and keep doing what you have to do.
You can't use Get 'em Beat on Mighty Destroyers because Get 'em Beat is only at the start of your charge phase. Yeah, there's no way around that. It's interesting, actually, you mentioned that, because Fix 'em Beat and Get 'em Beat, it says the start of your hero phase or your charge phase. But yeah, as I reread Killer Beat is at the combat phase.
Yep.
So it doesn't say your combat phase, it says the combat phase.
Yep.
So that's a good little pickup if people haven't noticed that.
And that goes into the community. My opponent literally said, why don't you do it in my turn? I go, what do you mean? Because it says you can do it in your turn. I look at him like, bro. Like, that's what I love about the community. People like Bill Souza. I could talk about him all day. It's like, Scooter, you don't hit on 4s. I go, what? He goes, you hit on 3s. I go, no, I hit on 4s. I hit on 3s if I charge you. And he smiles, this big grin. He goes, that was the old war scroll. And I go, what are you talking about? I was playing for like 4 tournaments, the old stuff. And he's like, yeah, bro, that's not what like, your opponent will literally tell you how your army is better in AOS. I'm like, all right.
Sometimes we have those biases though. Like, I was talking to Daniel from the Stormkeep, and like, I've been running Judicators who do exploding hits. So when you hit, you get a second hit. And most model in the game that does that, it's exploding 6s. And Daniel's like, dude, it's exploding hits. I'm like, nah, man, because my bias, my tunnel vision is just like, no, it's exploding, everything's exploding 6s. And he's like, no, go check the war scroll. And I reread it, and I'm like, holy shit, I can hit on 2s, and I can explode into 2 hits on 2s. Like,
yeah, I had to play against those.
Sign me up.
So much damage.
Speaking of 3d6 charges, Andrew asked a really good question, and that is our mate Kragnos. Thoughts on Craggy in Bloodtooths, because he does bring the 3d6 and obviously other things, but he is 700 points of goodness. Do you think there is space for him?
In a fun game, sure, but not in a 3-round RTT. 1,000%, I would go take him and have fun, because it's just an RTT. But if I'm away from my house, away from my dogs, away from my stuff for multiple days, I want to go to try to win. So I'm not going to take, that's way too many points. I'd have to take out a Maul Crusher and a unit of 3 pigs just to put him in. It's like, then I lose the all out defense on 3 things. I lose the rally on 3 things. I lose redeploy on 3 things. Like, the Maul Crusher is 100% the linchpin, in my opinion, of the Bloodtooth army, not Choppers, but Bloodtooth. He's the linchpin. He's the thing that makes you fly all over the place. That's why I think if they were to increase his points, I wouldn't be shocked. They're like, yeah, 500 points. All right. You know, bring him up the extra 20. You know, I can see that happening, but he's too good. And to take Kragnos in a thing, there's really no point. Your pigs are already so fast. Why? Like, do you want 3d6 charge or do you want 18-inch movement? I want 18-inch movement. I don't want 3d6 charge. So.
Yeah, I don't think you need it. If you were like, I play Craggy with my Gits, and I need that hero that could do lots of damage. The 3d6 charge is really helpful with some of my combinations, but I played it with my sons, and it was great, but I don't need it. And the minute the Kronspine came out, I dropped Craggy for the Kronspine, because the Kronspine just worked better to be able to give my double gate breakers all out attack, where I wouldn't be able to normally get multiple all out attacks. So I probably agree with you that it's a big point investment for things that you don't already need. Like if you run maybe Big War, maybe Big War, but not in Ironjawz.
I think his place is Beast Claw Raiders. The extra 3d6 for all of the ogres going forward, because they get impact hits based off their charge. Yes, that's where it's at.
But is he better than 2 Frostlords on Stonehorns, which is really what you're trading for? And that's what you're trading for, right? So I think that's where, if you're looking at a 700-point God model, Alariel pays for herself because she can summon on a unit. Morathi pays for herself because of the double shooting or the double attacking in the hero phase, plus the only, she can soak up so much damage.
So much.
But does Craggy on 700 points for a 3d6 charge, some damage for 18 wounds?
I played him in an RTT last week or the week before that. He never died, and he did so much damage. He was awesome. Oh, like you were saying, I played Sons with Kragnos. It was awesome, but I feel like you lose in Ironjawz too much to take him. So that's not for me.
I mentioned the Incarnate. Have you thought about the Incarnate, or what do you gain and what do you lose from the Incarnate in Ironjawz? Because I'm looking at your list, and an Incarnate is almost the same price as 6 Piggies. Now, obviously, it's not a pure trade.
All right. Internet, prepare to be mad at me.
All right, here comes the mic drop.
All right. The Incarnate is shit. It is the best utility piece in the game, minus Morathi. All right? Minus Morathi. He is the best. If you know you're playing against monsters all day, it's the greatest model in the game. I've played against the Incarnate so many times now. It does either 5 wounds or 24 wounds. It is never one or the other. And if you have Purple Sun, it is an amazing model. It is not for Ironjawz, in my opinion. If you're taking it, I don't know why. Your Piggies will do more damage. Your Piggies are more resilient. Your Piggies move faster and move harder. Like, yeah, your Piggies can die in one turn, and this thing can't. But if anything can kill your Piggies in one turn, it's going to eventually kill this. So I'd rather take the utility, the amount of attacks, the amount of damage, the amount of board control. I'd rather take that over the Incarnate. Now, in certain armies, the Incarnate is a must. Like in Zeech, 1000%. I've seen some Night Hunt lists with it in it. Whew, it is gross. Stopping people from being able to leave combat is an amazing ability.
But you got to watch out because, Scarlet Doom, which is all about doing mortal wounds on the charge, if you can't retreat in charge, which is a Nighthorn ability, then you're going to hamstring yourself. You got to be very cagey.
I was watching people with the Incarnate, and everyone around it stayed away from it so that they could leave and charge. I was like, this is dope.
It reminds me of the Gotrek bubble. Like everyone knew to kind of keep this 18-inch bubble away. But as you look at your list, I wanted you to really explain what you're thinking, right? Because for 400 points, it is either you drop assuming your list didn't change, you drop the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher with similar value, or you drop the Gore Grunter unit of 6, similar value. Now, there's an argument where I could say, well, what if I run up those 2 units of 6 Piggies? I drop enough points for 400, and I have this combat threat. I can do all-out attack for multiple things. It could be eating endless spells, which is something that you're not very good at with Unbinding. And it brings some flexibility and variety to your list. Well, cool.
It would, and I would definitely bound it to the Maw Crusher. That way, it doesn't go crazy. All I would have to do on my list is drop 6 pigs because I'm down 35 points, and now I'd be down 5. Is it Incarnate 400 or 410?
400.
If it's 400, I just drop 6 pigs, and I can throw it right in the list. And it might be a thing to take. It's just so swingy is my problem. It's so swingy. I don't know. I don't know.
It's fine. I think it has to go up in points eventually. I just wanted your thoughts on.
It's gonna. It's
it has to go up. It has to be 500, man. It has to be 450 at least.
I also think they're gonna throw in more Incarnates, right? More of these models. So it's is this one going to be the be all end all, or is the next one going to be good?
Well, no, because it's the incarnate of Gur from Kronspine. It's a Kronspine, and Kronspine is a region of Gur. And as we've been moving through the maps, we're obviously in Galette, or Galais, where as we move through Gur, the Winds of Magic is creating more Kronspine, or incarnates. So
I'm curious
there'll be
what
more.
they're going to come out with.
I would not be surprised if there's more of them in Gur, let alone from the other, Gairan and Akshi and things like that.
Not my favorite model. I'll say it. My little brother loves it.
But it adds something to Zench. It adds something to
holes. Fills big holes.
Talk to me about deployment. Talk to me about how you look at your deployment. Do you deploy on the line? Yes, battle plans and opponents change. Like, put that to the side. But do you deploy on the line? Do you deploy in a castle? Do you deploy on the flanks? Like, how do your average synergies and battle plans, and how does it all kind of come together in your deployment?
War Chanter is always 3 inches behind, right behind my piggies. So I'll make a little hole for them. They go right in between them to stay. I make sure the 15-inch bubble for all of them can touch whoever need to touch. My Maw Crusher will always be on the left or the right to touch the 2 6-man pigs and a 3-man pig, depending on what side, how we deploy. Because now that I'm so many drops, I can really see where they're going. It's tons of fun. Usually, always, like you were talking, the 3-man squad to the right, the 3-man squad to the left to go up and tag whatever I need to tag. The 2 6-man blocks and the big little baby right in the middle of all of them. Like, come on down. Here's my little war boss on foot waiting for you to come towards me. A lot of times I hide the goblin, just put him behind something so no one can see him, just sit there and just try to get a 4 up every turn. But yeah, usually it's very symmetrical. 3, 3, 6, 6. It's only the Maw Crusher, depending on where they go, depends on what side he swings to. I almost never hide him. There's not a lot in the game that can come out and like grab them right away. So it's rare to hide them. Against dragons, I don't want to take the chance of them rolling like a 6/6/4 and him taking 2d6 plus d3 more wounds right away. I don't want to take the chance of that. So I probably deploy a little bit back against that. And like you said, based off what they're playing, okay, well, you're 20-inch range. Let me go over here. We're good. It's really always symmetrical because my battle plan usually doesn't change based off what you're playing. My plan is to touch objectives, to control the board, and to either move forward rapidly or to slowly progress my movement. It all depends on the mission.
So if I'm hearing you and I'm kind of visualizing it, you have your 2 big blocks of piggies in the center, give or take, and a Maw Crusher that kind of swings in the middle, depending on, again, the battle plan and how your opponent's deployed. And that allows you to either swing to either flank, depending on where the battle happens, whether it allows you to move forward as a bubble to collapse the castle or whatever, you target that big piece. And then your piggies on either side, the 2 units of 3 can either stay on the flanks and hold their own, or swing in to support wherever the battle might happen, or swing backwards if there's like a backfield threat or something. But that's approximately how you kind of deploy and how you start moving around the board.
Almost every time. Yep. It seems to work out. Like, there's armies, but I mean, we all know that. You talk about against this, what would you do against this? But then it's 5 hours later and we're all trying to go to bed. So
not me.
Well, you're not.
It's lunchtime for me. I'm good. No, but like, and look, breaking down battle plans, breaking down, enemies. It's obviously there's so much variance even in each faction, but that's a good visualization. You don't have to worry about castles. You've got the. I think, like my sons, I'm hearing a lot of commonality because I have movement to my advantage, so I can swing my force as quick as possible. I will kind of always position myself. Not in the middle, like I'm not always castling, but I'm almost having like one model on each of the 15 by 11 boxes, so that if I need to go to the flank, I can move, and I can block off deep striking from reserves, or I can castle up, or I can expand.
The swing is my favorite. Like we were talking about sending 2 things in. I'm going to go to the right, and the rest of my army is going to swoop around to reinforce it back there. Now your army over here is just dead, moving 4 to 5 inches. I'm going to deal with this. So it's definitely good at that. Exactly that, sweeping around and taking a flank. We call it the toilet bowl. Just everyone's turning around each other like this, just hiding from each other.
I call my Gargant on the Mega Powers. So it's like Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. I always have 2 Gargants always together, and they are my tag team, and they go stomp across the realms. But You got a similar kind of thing. You just do it a little bit better than me. A couple of probably other burning questions I want to ask before I let you go to bed. I know it's getting a bit late over where you are. Endless spells. Endless spells. I know you don't have a lot of fat in this particular list, but just more broadly from Ironjawz, are there ones that work better than others? Like, are you looking at mortal wound damages? Are you looking for some debuffs? Are there any endless spells that kind of stand out to you at a faction level?
For me, Gnashing Jaws is probably the one that I would like the most. It's like, because a lot of people hide their stuff. So if I can cast Gnashing Jaws, like if I was playing a casting army, go up forward, drop Gnashing Jaws, it teleports over your whole front line, and I clip off one of your characters. That's the kind of spells that I like a lot. There's a couple we're worried about. Anything that messes with our leadership is a problem now that we're only Bravery 6. But Gnashing Jaws is good. Purple Sun isn't one that I think I would use. One, the casting value is way too high, and I don't have like the pluses to cast, so I don't worry about that. When I think of Life Swarm is one I played for a while. Again, another way to heal yourself. But since they changed that spell, it's hard to justify using Life Swarm since you can't double tap yourself the first turn. But I'd probably still take Life Swarm if I had the points for it, if I worked it in. But I had to take something out. So
yeah, I mean another one that might be worthwhile. It's just thinking this one through is Geminids. And the reason is because Geminids it'll stop you from using commands until the combat phase. So what you could possibly do is it can stop a redeploy, or an unleash hell. So that could be an option.
It also takes up some of the table, and Ironjawz doesn't really deal with that much. I was thinking about like Big Wog and like the casting and what spells would I want to do, and that's when I started thinking about like endless spells and. Bridge, do I take that just to block off some of the table? Do I take Purple Sun to block off some of the table? But then I'm like, I want to go up there and smash you. I don't really want to stop you from coming my direction. I do like Geminids though. That's a good one.
It's just an interesting one that I think people have overlooked it. I know I've been chatting I've got a teams tournament coming up in a few weeks time. And I know we're talking about, things like that. And Geminids, I think, is a bit of a sleeper. We all tend to agree.
What's it go off on?
6?
Is it 6? I think it's a 6. That's not bad.
It's relatively cheap. I think it's like 40 points or something. So if you could stop a redeploy and stop, because you want to charge, right? And if you, depending on how the battle's going, things like that, you want to land that charge. And obviously, especially Bloodtooths have a lot of triggers off the back of a successful charge and a combat. Yeah. So, we've all probably been in that situation where we failed the charge or that redeploy has made it out of charge range and, or you're not relying too much on the 3d6 beat.
Yeah. The 3d6, man, for me, it's do what you're good at, right? And since Ironjawz aren't good at casting, I've kind of never even looked at it. In fact, my one casting, I'll roll under my hands and not tell people what to roll. Be like, I only got one, dispel it. What do I roll? I'll just play games with it because I only got one cast. Like, what am I going to do?
I know when I've played Ironjawz in the past as well, the great big green hand of Gork has always scared me because, like, you could do the teleport and then Mighty Destroyer.
Right in.
Yeah, you can, because normally, like, outside of 9, that's quite tough, but now, you know, you could potentially land that charge.
What is it? It's a 4-inch move, so you do 12, you get an 8-inch charge. So you need an 8 rerollable. That's not. If you get your Maw Crusher up there to be able to give them that reroll. I did Foot of Gork once. It went off 2 or 3 times. That was fun, but getting it off was the hard part. I'm like, man, these spells cost a lot.
Yeah, but it does give you a bit of movement, especially late game as well. This has been awesome. There's been a lot of kind of really good insights, and I know despite there being less than 10 war scrolls, there's not a lot of variety. Like, it's so much tactical depth, and I think the key is not in the list, but it's always about how you execute and you use your tools. And I think we've talked a lot about, when do you put your foot on the gas or put your foot on the pedal? And I think there's a real tempo with Ironjawz that you need to learn because, like Gargants, I want to run forward. I want to run forward as quick as possible. And it feels like I want to be in combat as soon as possible. And I'll never forget some of my first tournaments. I would retreat my Gargants a lot. And people would thought that was counterintuitive. Like, don't you want to be in combat? And I go, no, I want to be an objective. I want to be setting myself up for future turns. And while you don't want to be retreating, I think there's a lot of value to think about. When do I want to prepare for the buffs, to call down the War, to set up those multiple charges to enjoy smash and bash? Who do I use Mighty Destroyer on? Am I always pulling it for the charge and the long bomb charge? Or am I using the movement shenanigans to set myself up for that eventual charge? Because once Ironjawz hits, with a good charge, you will delete what you need to delete.
Well, you'll get close to it, and you're 100% right about that. Running back is huge. I'm going to go back up now. I have my +1 damage in case I go again. And sometimes you move forward. Sometimes, like, I can't let you advance. I need to stop you right there. The maneuvering of Ironjawz is definitely what makes them the pigs, the Gorg runners, is what makes them good, in my opinion. Being able to control as much as you can.
Well, even what you said as well about the Bloodtooth move, about, you kill the unit and then you can either charge again or move. Most people who are seeing red will just want to charge again. But actually making a move onto the objective and being able to rally actually might be the better option. And I think that's where you're playing with the Mork side, not the Gork side.
Yeah,
Gork wants to smash. You want to be cunning but brutal, not brutal but cunning. And there's like, again, what one do you want to pull?
I love the gods, man. He cracks me up. I'm like, okay, it's all, they're the same, right? No, they're different. Okay. This is so cool. Games Workshop, that's what they do a good job. The lore, the lore is good. They make up some good stuff.
What's your favorite Ironjawz lore, or what's your favorite destruction lore? How about we do that?
Ogres, by far, the Great Maw, by far. It's the thought of, like, worshiping something that clearly is not supposed to be worshipped. It's like, you guys are so cute. Eating pots and pans, they make me happy. They're my people. Like, I started Dark Elves, and I quickly moved to Ogres. I was like, these guys are really cool. Like, what are they about? They're the best. And of course, like, Gork and Mork. We played Goblins for the longest time, so it's kind of like, you just gotta love it. You gotta love the pure chaos of it all. It's so cute. It makes me happy.
I love when you read the lore from when the Age of Sigmar was very first coming out, with the Age of Chaos and the Age of Myth, and you had Gorka Morka and Yumnog, the father of Behemoth, and they were like this ultimate tag team that would just destroy and fight, and they're just like absolute, like, again, this goes back to my wrestling with the mega powers, and that's kind of why I think who was I talking to? Someone was talking to me earlier about making their wrestlers, their Mega Gargants wrestlers. I'm like, sign me up. Make like one Hulk Hogan, one make Randy Savage, one like Ric Flair. I'm all in for that.
And we went patriotic with ours just to have fun. I was like, this is gonna be so cool. You should see our Kragnos. It is a Declaration of Independence, as a shield. Like, Caleb did such a good job. He converts everything. He's like, all right, what else are we gonna do? I was like, put them on Mount Rushmore. They're on Mount Rushmore. All right, awesome. What else can we do? I just want to go to a tournament in England with, like, patriotic, like, Gargant army. Just say, what's up, guys? We got independence. Our display board is the Boston Tea Party. I don't know if you know about it.
I did see it. Caleb sent me photos. It reminds me of Noah, who just dressed up like in like America overalls when he went to the Worlds, and this is like America in your face.
You gotta have, I don't know. In this day and age, everyone's so damn serious. Like, all right, we're living. I can explain to you the odds of being alive. Why are you frowning? Like, get on a jet ski and frown. I'll pay you $50 if you can ride a jet ski and frown. Like, you sad? Just rent a jet ski. You good? Like, what you worried about? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get sadness. It's not my thing. I'm always happy.
Scooter, one final question, and I'll let you go to bed. And that
I'll be up for hours. We're good though. We're good. I can talk to you all day.
And I would, but I have Disciples of Tzeentch videos to edit and upload. I've got a couple of hours left, so they'll. Right. What is the one model, if you could add one model to the faction or one type of unit to the game, what would you add to Ironjawz?
I think I would add some type of infiltrating outstriking, close combat, maybe shooting, like a mix between decent shooting and decent combat unit that can deploy out of a piece of terrain to give me some level of tricky, or off their backboard edge or something where I have my army, but I also am going to have this unit that's just hiding in this corner, and maybe I have to write it down ahead of time. I think that would be so much fun. A flying unit of pigs, that would be awesome. All right, look, hey, Mike Brent, talk to your people, get me flying pigs with big angelic wings. Don't give me some nasty, like, scaled wings. I want angelic, beautiful wings, flying pigs. Oh, that would be dreamy. But you know, I thought about that actually a lot, because I joke about only having so many choices, and I don't want a casting army because that's not what my army is. I don't want a caster. I don't necessarily need a shooter because that's not what my army is. But it would be cool to have a unit that can infiltrate, that can outflank, that can deep strike, that's maybe a little bit of shooting, but more combat oriented. So I can jump on your backboard edge and grab something small. That would be kind of fun.
I'll go for some low-hanging fruit. No models required. Give me an unridden Maw Crusher.
Ooh.
Give me a wild Maw Crusher. Just
Oof.
give me unridden. I was asking for it with Seraphon. Like, give me dinosaurs without the dinosaurs. Like, give me a Carnosaur that's feral. Give me a feral Maw Crusher that is a little bit more like the Incarnate, right? You know, it has maybe better movement, but it has a lower bravery, and there's some type of predatory wild test because, you know, you got to roll above the bravery, or it does something, or it goes a bit wild, or I don't know, like a little bit destro in there.
All right, we're talking. You ready? All right. Why don't I have a terrain piece? Give me, Caleb, we're not talking to you. Give me give me a terrain piece. All right, hear me out. The witness me, like a drummer who's just beating his drum and commanding units down the field. You're within 36 inches. You guys +1 armor. You guys +1 bravery. Something like that. Like, just something that's thematic and works with, because obviously it's a combat army. Give me something combat-y, something that can increase that. I don't know, my own terrain I can bring. Like, hey, you can put these terrain out. I don't know.
You're giving me Mad Max vibes here.
Mad Max,
like you got Mad Max with like the drummer, like
yes, because that's what they're all about. You're charging forward to fight before dinner time. When my guy, so most people who play me figure out quickly, when you kill one of my units, you didn't kill them. They were tired, and their wife called, and they're hungry, and they're going to eat. You didn't win. I decided to leave. So when you kill my Maw Crusher, you didn't kill him. He was sleepy. He left. Can I leave you with the story? Since I know Caleb's watching.
Sure.
Hey, Caleb, you remember my War Chanter killed Karos Fate Weaver by himself? You remember that? Yeah, that happened. I killed Karos with a War Chanter. That's all. It was good. It was really fun. I don't know. It'd be good to get more units or something, but it's kind of hard because they're already so good. Like, what else do you give them? Like, it's kind of like what you're talking with Stormcast. 80 choices. It's too much at some point. But I would actually really like a terrain feature. That'd be kind of cool, like something else to play around with.
Yeah, I know when Cities dropped at the same time as the Warclans book, the original Warclans book, I was surprised there was no terrain feature for either of us. I thought they might bring back like a watchtower, like a garrisonable building where like the cities of Sigmar have like made a little fortification, like only like the old. I don't know if you remember the old Warhammer. It was called the Watchtower.
Yeah, the square thing.
Yeah. I thought they might re-release it because they just come off the back of re-releasing the that big like whatever that was. Anyway, Scooter, this has been awesome. I think you and I could just talk forever. And luckily, you're at LVO, Caleb tells me, so we're going to hang out. And we're going to talk, and probably someone's going to live stream us because we're going to laugh our ass off. That's
what we do. They're going to put a stream more. I'm like, no, we're stream.
Are you on the socials at all? Like, if someone wanted to talk Ironjawz with you, are you on like Facebook, or are you somewhere?
I'm on Facebook, Nicholas Walters. I'm dashing. I have a vest on with a blue shirt. I'm beautiful. You can't miss me. I don't think I have the beard. I might have the beard. Purple. I'm beautiful. But yeah, get me on there. Hit me up on that. In terms of social media, I'm honestly just busy. We're so busy, and me and Caleb got some plans, so y'all be seeing soon. We got some stuff coming. But You know, shout outs for everything. But it truly is a pleasure. I really enjoy this kind of stuff, and I think my favorite part is honestly like the community itself is so different than fantasy was. Like in old fantasy, you'd literally be like, "Hey, is this person nice?" And it's like, "No." And you're like, "Okay, this is gonna suck." But now every game, no, that person's awesome. I'm like, "Yo, this person's awesome. All right, let's just play." And when I lose, I'm like, "I lost to an awesome person." Like, don't bother me at all. Like, this is so cool. Like, all right.
And I think that's a nice way to end this, because you know, as Grumdy's saying, love the energy, fun stream, and it is a game. I think ultimately that we need to remember, you know, that our results don't mean that we're a bad player or a great player. If I happen to go 2 and 3, you know what? That doesn't make me a crap player. It's just sometimes the dice aren't in our favor. Sometimes we get the bad matchup. Your army could be great against a certain faction, just the wrong battle plan on the wrong day. And it doesn't mean you're a better or worse player either way. And I think you have a great outlook on the game, that we can just have fun. It's about meeting cool people. The outcome is the outcome. We can all have a laugh regardless of I win, you win. And it's those brilliant moments that we get, as opposed to I won and I scored 5 out of 5 battle tactics in my grand strategy. That's part of it, but it's also the journey along the way.
I tell everyone, like, everyone wants to win. But I've met one person who truly didn't care. But everyone comes to these things to win. And it's like, let's all win, but I don't want you going away being mad. Like, what is that? Like, let's have fun, bro. Like, it's going to be... I agree.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Scooter, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm going to talk to your brother in a couple of weeks' time, where we're going to preview the Tzeentch book. I'm sure he's going to have a whole bunch of return serves for you. So...
Yeah, he doesn't like when people talk during games. If you want to play against Caleb, guys, you just got to talk to him a lot. It tilts him off. It's great. Sorry, Caleb. It was a pleasure talking to you, Coach. I appreciate your time, bud.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Scooter. Thank you for everyone who joined the live stream. Again, thank you. A big shout out to the patrons and YouTube members who have got the new microphone. So brand new microphone. I hope you found some quality improvements. You still get my twangy Australian voice, but hopefully the improvement of that twanginess is landed in your ears. But thank you again. And here comes the outro. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging around until the end. I hope you enjoyed that video and you walked away with a few new ideas. If you did, I would love it if you press like on the video, as well as left me a comment to let me know what your thoughts are. The conversation will continue over on Discord, and the link is down below in the video description. I want to give a massive shout out as well to the AOS Coach Patreons and YouTube members who are going in, and the funds of supporting the channel and the growth that you're seeing here. So cheers, you're all bloody legends. And until next time, don't roll a 1 on a redeploy.